Hi everyone. This is for my students of architecture. Others can kind of scroll down. Maybe you can hit a like. Yeah. All right. I had been practicing as an architect for the past 2 decades across India and abroad. With my hands on designing numerous projects, I had gained some real life insight into what needs to be done with the architectural theses that are there. I had been guiding numerous students. Let's discuss with one of the students that are there, is online with me here. We'll be discussing with one of the projects that he's working on. Let's check it out. Yeah.
The last thing that I sent you was the site analysis, right? So I remodified the initial thesis synopsis in this time period. If you want to see that, I can show you that.
Okay.
Yes, I'm showing it to you. Share screen. Is the screen visible, sir?
Yes.
So I modified it a bit, made it more presentable in comparison to the previous one.
Right.
After doing the site case studies, all the case studies that I've done, and the site analysis context,
Okay. You keep explaining the pages section.
okay, sir.
What was the previous one?
The previous thesis synopsis.
No, the previous pages here.
Okay, so this was the thesis abstract and the thesis proposition. These are the same. There are no changes in this.
Right.
Then why public spaces are important? It's the same. Utilization of public spaces is also same. The major changes that have been done was in the thesis program. Whatever program I have on my proposed year, selection of topic, and the aims and objectives.
Right.
So other than those major portion, everything else is the same.
Right.
And just restructured. So this was the introduction portion about why public spaces were important, why it's neighborhood level, why is it important in the city level, right? And if they are successful, what would the result be? And if they are unsuccessful, what the result will be? Then how public spaces have been utilized in both Western cultures and Indian cultures,
Right.
which in the next slides are compared, right? So this was the introductory portion to that. Then Western public spaces, which were largely large in scale, geometrical, organized, and were using, and these were the few examples that are there. Then in comparison to that, there was the Indian public spaces, where due to the large amount of population there was, so mixed land use was created, and this basically goes on to explain how the social.
Right. So here you need to explain about this public spaces, because public spaces are complex organic things actually, if you look at it in that way. Yeah, you cannot expect to do everything right initially. The best urban spaces evolve over time when you experiment with short-term improvements that can be tested over years. And there are a couple of very simple strategies which you can follow to get this done correctly. Yeah. Just hang on, we'll get back to you. Yep.
Yeah, the screen crashed, sir. The app crashed.
Oh, all right. So can you show the screen now?
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you a couple of things. You can take a note of this if you will.
Yes, I'm noting it down.
Yeah. See, basically, you see, as I was saying, like public spaces. Your whole assignment is about designing a public space, right? And designing public spaces.
Yes, sir.
The very basic character of public spaces. Public spaces are complex, right?
It's not exactly public
Yes, it's not just a public
Uh,
space. It is a space where there are public spaces within your space, right? So
Yes, yes.
given those complex, these kind of spaces are complex organic things, and designing a small fraction of what goes into making a public space is very important. And what happens is this is a process; it evolves. So you need to have that flexibility in your design so that it can evolve over time. Because the best urban spaces that are there, they evolve over time. For instance, the city center one in Salt Lake, Kolkata. So a structure was built, right? The space, the basic space was created. It had evolved over time. So such spaces, the most efficient spaces, they evolve over time. So first of all, you need to keep it simple, right?
Yes, sir.
So there are like almost 8-10 points. You can note it down actually.
Yes,
so
I'm noting it.
Keeping it simple, then making it accessible for everyone. Accessibility is a huge issue. Accessible spaces has to be there, right? And the character of that particular space in a city, the context, it has to be contextual, right? Then
so the thing is that this contextual portion, since that area that is being used as the site area, it is not a developed area, right? There is no development of any kind around that area. Everything around that area is proposed. Other than a few government buildings, no building is there. So how do we develop it to a context there?
Yes. So then you need to look at what is the proposed development there, right? You need to figure out. You need to go to the Urban Development Authority. The HIDCO is there, right? So HIDCO has a kind of proposal. It has got a land use mapping done there. That what are the kinds of building that may come there, right? And what are those buildings would look like in our kind of a scenario? It won't be much of a difference. What is there already, right? So contextually, your building has to be relevant.
Okay.
So it is up to you whether you want to make a contrast of it or you need to incorporate those elements which are already there. Then a very specific thing you need to consider. You can write it down. It's basically you need to design for people. Urban spaces are designing for people and not for vehicle, right? So walkability is a feature that you need to incorporate. The space has to be walkable. At most, you can have your battery-driven cars. Right? And next is you need to make a space which is sensory in nature. Right? If in your concept you incorporate that, it's a sensory space. So it triggers all your senses, right from the human
sensory in space in the sense that it interacts with all of our senses, all of our 5 senses.
Right. See, I'll tell you what. As we move, human movement, is by nature limited horizontally, right? With a speed of about like 5 kilometers as we walk. So our senses are oriented frontally, definitely like your eyes and ears are oriented frontally. And the sense of vision is undoubtedly developed horizontally. We do not look much upwards as we move, right? And this is a very specific thing urban designer needs to incorporate into the particular design. So social view field is, you can look at like a distance of 100 meters and understand and figure out things which are. So this 100 meters is the distance in which you can recognize human figures. While about within the 30-meter distance, you can distinguish more detail, like you can, say on who is who, right? Out of those human figures. Then there are senses of smell. What sense of smell can only be within 2 to 3 meter distance. There can be a flowery garden, maybe an Ayurvedic garden incorporated there within the walkways, tollways that you are making. You can distinguish more detailed characteristics of a person when you are close to that range, and within the sense of smell, you can have a scenario where this is interacting with each other in such a way that space becomes very conducive to people. Right, within a 35 meter, 2 to 3 meter of a range, and a 35 meter of a range is the maximum range in which the sense of smell works, right? So with these few things, try to create opportunities for those with sensory or physical disabilities. Even for the disabled, it is also important to use the sense of smell, touch, and taste to enhance the user experience. For the children who are there, for the elderly who will be there coming into a park. And that urban whatever space that you're developing, it should have some component of a recreation element, the parks or playgrounds, which is important. That's
also, sir. The thing was that I wanted to create it in such a way that it's an inviting space, right? There was this the concept that we use when we are designing our main entrances along our entire semester, right? So for example, we did museum, we did even a heliport, and all of this. The main concept that we used to use was that the entry space should be like a funnel. It should be massive in space. And as we move inside, it becomes more inviting, right?
Right.
The entry space in comparison to the other spaces within should be larger so that it looks more inviting. So
yes, it has
while I was doing the site, So while I was doing the site zoning, the thing that constantly came up was that the major target people were the younger people, which is around children to teenagers, and then to the other extreme, which were the older citizens, right? And to incorporate that, there were three major features that were there for them, which was basically the park spaces or the playground spaces, the open street market that I wanted to incorporate there, and a lounge space where they can relax, right? Youth's lounge space and a senior citizens lounge space. And the senior citizen lounge space, I came to know about it while I was doing the secondary case study, which is a common feature across all the community centers that I've done research on. So I was thinking of incorporating that also. So these three features I wanted to keep as the main attraction, right? And how do I fit that into that area?
See, when you are talking about inviting spaces, basically what you need to keep in mind is when people walk, they tend to prefer straight line routes and use shortcuts. So you have to make those spaces so inviting and make shortcuts in such a way that people can probably see a destination as a landmark from where they want to go to the next place, but cannot go there directly, right?
Okay.
Either it is a visual connect or a physical connect. So that a balance has to be there. The acceptable walking distance for most people, it is usually like 400 to 500 meters. That means within one corner of your site to another, right? For children and elderly, of course, it is like half of that. So these distances are affected by the length of that street and the quality of the path, the texture of the path, considering the sense of safety, how the people, so that the children do not fall, or maybe the wheelchair goers, it is easy for them to maneuver.
Okay.
And also another thing, that like regular normal people will always tend to avoid long detours. So you should not be having such a, it should be having a visual connect, but the physical connect should not be so lengthy that it defeats the purpose. So that has to be the balance on it.
Okay.
Right? So, and also while you're designing all those spaces and pathways, you need to consider the sustainability, cost, aesthetics when you're choosing the materials, in terms of materials that are on the pathway, on the walls, on the tactile surfaces that are there. Right.
Okay.
And
so the best thing would be to keep it sustainable and use local materials that are available there. That's the
absolutely
best case
scenario. Three things: sustainability, cost, and aesthetics. It has to be a trilateral balance. You need to balance these three things, right? Sustainability, cost, and aesthetics.
Okay.
Right.
The other thing was that while I was doing the site analysis, I tried to come up with a block model of the site, right? So that I can create blocks of the primary spaces or the primary building blocks that I wanted to combine together, and so I'm working on that. I don't have it right now. I've started working on that, and maybe when we have the next meeting, I'll be able to show it to you.
If you are done, then probably if you send some photos, maybe, or maybe in the next Zoom meeting, you can show if it is.
Yes, I'll for the next meeting. For the next meeting, I'll use the laptop. It has a cam in it, so I can show it to you most probably. Then that was that, and
I'll tell you what, we'll probably discuss this before. Whenever you are designing any public space for public, whether it is a private space for public or it is a public space, so citizen engagement is very important. Stakeholder feedback.
Citizen engagement as in?
Citizen engagement as in stakeholder feedback or a respondent analysis is important. I mean, you need to understand who are your users, right? Because you do not have one single client, and this is beyond architecture that you are doing. Right? It's a little bit beyond the basic architecture that you have done all through these years, right? Where you had one building for one client, right? So here you have like n number of clients. Of course, you can sampling can be done on those clients, and you can have a sampling of those clients. Maybe there will maybe like 5-10 different categories of clients that you have, right? Still, what are their requirements that you need to put forward? If it is possible for you, right, after all this gets over, to take feedback, or at least write down that you had already taken feedback from so and so people, which you had already done before this, right? Maybe the college goers can be a category. Maybe the people who are going into regular offices, 9-to-5 jobs. Maybe the lady of the house. Maybe the senior citizen. Maybe the children. So those are your users who come to your site, who come to your public space on such and such hours of the day. Right? So because the principle is about tapping into the collective wisdom of all those people. Because they are the community and they know their requirements best. So unless you respect their requirement and incorporate into your design, it will be very difficult for you to justify certain things in a public room. Right? You cannot, as a designer or an architect, dictate something of your whims onto the community. The community has to ask for it to you. Right?
Yes, sir, definitely.
by engaging those with some historical perspective in that particular area, insights into how the area functions, and an understanding of what is meaningful for the local people that are there, it will help to create a sense of ownership for them as well, right? You can also justify that by taking their feedback and making a design according to them has given a sense of ownership to those people who will be actually taking care of your space. Otherwise, what vandalism will happen, as it happens in a lot of public spaces. People will speak here and there and break here and there, those things, right? So to disengage people from all those activities, what the new age architecture is about, taking the respondents' feedback, respecting the citizens, respecting the stakeholders that are there, places, and making places which feel good to the people of the city, will encourage them to use them, and when well used, they stand a better chance to be well taken care of. So that is the whole intent.
Yes, sir. So there's one thing that I wanted to show you, which is basically this area, right? This area, as we can see, is primarily consists of like startup food area, like startup food shacks.
I've seen this place. It's like a makeshift market sort of. Yeah, some vegetable markets and shops are there. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And these area, like this is basically my site, right? This is around this area.
Yeah.
This is the site plot that is available.
Yes.
And all of this site is set for construction, and all of this will get demolished. So that was one of the primary reasons why I wanted to incorporate a street market into this space, right? So all of these people that are going to be uprooted from here, most of them do not own the land that they are living on right now, and that can be used to provide shops.
Right.
So, and similarly to the ones that we have in front of our colleges, right? In front of our college on the footpath.
If you incorporate those elements within your design, by design it will look good and it will also function well, instead of like makeshift arrangement along the road, right?
Yes, sir. So exactly, and this also comes under
like ugly looking shanties.
Yes, exactly. And all of this comes under the community architecture entire branch, right? This all serves the community. Yeah. And the other thing that was there was that even if we are adding professional retail shops, right, at a particular period of time, they will close. At like, for example, 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. they will close.
Right.
And after that time, a lot of bachelors, college students, and other people that go out, they go out for foods and all of that, right? So these shops can set up around that time,
right?
Like in Singapore, this was the thing, right? When there is huge street markets, and those street markets are hawkers generally set up in front of professional retail shops, right? And as soon as they open, they remove their stuff, and as soon as they close, they reset it up.
Sure. That can be done.
So that concept can be used, and there's a post office already here, which also goes well with that.
That is not going to get demolished. You might as well
incorporate
that into your site. You know what happens in post offices? A lot of elderly people come every day.
Yes, sir.
In the morning and also in the afternoon. So can your elderly park or pathway that is there be incorporated along with that? Where through your site, the people who are there on this part of the city, they are going towards the post office. Maybe they don't have to travel such a lengthy distance onto the main roads. Maybe they can walk through your park and go there.
Yes, sir, definitely. The idea was that
they get initiated into various ways, and they also have some kind of a activity there.
Yes, sir, definitely. So the idea was that this entire space, if I could, I would have used it as an open space, right? This is where the playgrounds and everything would be there, right? And this space around this area could have acted as the main community space, right, where youths and senior citizens can come and relax. Basically these would have acted as a lounge area. And since there is going to be massive constructions in these areas around this space, around this space. Why is this? So there was going to be massive construction here. So giving an open space here is of no point, because it's going to get covered from both the directions. And instead, the information center, or the administrative branch of the community center can be set up here, along with the library, because this portion will have the least amount of noise.
Low height constructions, right? It won't be like a high rise.
So it depends upon who is buying that plot, because I think the plot around this area and the plot around this area has not been sold as of yet. So it's still available for buying. And around these areas, these have been sold, and I'll have to check exactly who has bought them so that I know what kind of construction will be done here. So from the information that I have till now, this is the optimal thing that I've come up to. And this area can be used as a street market space, right? So when people approach from here, right, this is the major approaching area. We have the Akhankha Mode here from Eco Park. Eco Park comes from here. We have the Akanka Mode, and from there we come into this area, right? And this is the residential spaces that are there. Over here, there's another residential space here. 1 minute.
Right.
So we have another residential space here, which is the Astra Towers.
See, basically you need to keep it simple. You know, in the
Yes,
first stages of this project, maintaining a simple and it has to be evolving. It has to be adaptable design that will allow for future enhancement of those spaces.
Yes, sir.
As your
And,
funds are also becoming available to the promoting of the sponsors of this plottage, and the community gets more involved. A good design should be able to adapt to change. That is the whole point.
And another thing was that, sir, during this whole COVID epidemic, one of the major highlights of this was the conversion of shopping centers, stadiums, and other spaces that have huge atriums into a makeshift relief center, right? So keeping that in mind, I've also tried to incorporate. I'm also trying to incorporate that into the space also, because in the end, it is for the community and the neighborhood spaces, right?
Yes.
So I have
such pandemics are like once in 100 years probably, but
yes, sir. But then again, it's for relief, right? So
yes,
it can be used. If not for pandemic or epidemic, it can be used for any.
Right, and you never know whether it is a pandemic or an earthquake or what comes. Nobody knows. Or
yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. And in India, one of the major things is that for example, elections is a huge deal, right? Thousands of people turn up, and we see them standing on the streets, going into a small office which is clustered or
right.
So this space, an open space here can also benefit that designing, like into the detailed floor plans.
These buildings come and go. The streets and the public spaces, they will last for a longer time. And new developments and public realms will, those improvements should be designed both to respect the existing context that I was talking about and to accommodate future changes. And always, if you keep that flexible, it will be better always.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to simplify the program, like what I'm going to put here, and I've been refining that list. I think I've sent you the updated list with the site analysis PDF.
Right.
I have it here. I'll show that. So this was the initial site zoning that I did when I sent it to you, right?
The screen is not visible. It is all white.
So is it visible now?
Yes. Okay.
So is the image visible now?
Yes.
Okay. So this was the
from Akanka Mode. Okay.
Yes, sir. I'll enlarge.
Yeah. So just go through that, run through this.
I'll full screen it. Yeah. Why is this paused?
Yeah, I can see the educational and kindergarten facility. I can see the proposed convention center.
Proposed construction
is going on, right? So wind flow direction is there, and existing residential building, open green space hosting OAT and lawns. Okay. Main community. Those texts are not really readable.
Main community building, which will host the lounge and recreational activities.
All right. Okay, so you are keeping the community building this side, which is just near to the other community center. There is another community center next to it.
No, sir. There's another community center is not next to it. That is the proposed site. Like they already
next block, right? In the next block, it is there. It is in the next block. Okay, right. So your north is up, right?
Yeah, north is up.
Okay, open pavilion to act as okay, right.
So this was the basic traffic flow that I had in mind when I created it. I am going to change it as I told you before. Instead of giving the administrative building here, I'm going to shift it near the lawn space because there is going to be construction, and since we don't know what the height will be, the most probably the wind flow will get restricted from that direction. So keeping an open space there will become without any wind will become very restrictive. So I'll be moving that towards the front of the site and shifting the administrative building and information center towards the rear.
Okay.
And the pavilion, which will act as the weekly market street and Vista Point, will remain the same. And there will be slight changes in the program where the kindergarten facility, the youth lounges, and the senior citizen lounges will be incorporated into the same building, right? And the main community building will most probably remain in the same space because maximum of the residential spaces are nearer to that space.
See, you need to keep this wayfinding very seriously here. It incorporate here because a good public space will only be called as a good public space because when it provides ease of safety and ease of movement, the choice of people when they move through those places. So helping
Yes, sir.
people find their way around and understand how a place works is often overlooked in a lot of places I've seen.
Okay.
But it's a very important factor in if you can consider that. A lot of places you don't have proper wayfinders, so you create paths and wayfinding signages to improve your
Okay, so
accessibility,
signages, yeah.
orientation of people who will be going there, and connectivity to spaces and functions.
Okay.
And there should be a clear hierarchy of roads.
Yes,
there has
sir.
to be hierarchy. Suddenly,
Okay.
from a main road, you cannot go into a narrow lane or alley. So a
Yes, sir,
hierarchy of
definitely.
streets and pathways has to be there. You have major thoroughfares on almost like 3 sides of the site, right? So,
Sir, actually,
here-
the site is accessible from 2 sides of the road, which is
2 sides, but those are major
yeah.
thoroughfares. Those are major thoroughfares.
Yes, sir.
Directly from those, if you jump into your spaces, which are like very the interior spaces of those sites, right? So here hierarchy of streets and pathways should be established to enable those pedestrians, maybe cyclists and people with probably physical disabilities and all, so move around your space, right? So that safely and quickly do it.
Okay.
People can't, maybe say from a person in a wheelchair coming out of a vehicle, he cannot be directly come from that major thoroughfare, which is a state highway, I guess. From there, he cannot jump into your site. So a clear hierarchy
Yes,
of
sir.
spaces has to be there.
Okay.
So delineate those hierarchies, make those clear hierarchies.
Okay. Another thing was that, sir, incorporating the kindergarten and educational facility along with the senior citizen lounge and the youth lounge, do you think it will be viable, or should I separate it out? Because most of the time when children come to the park, they usually come with their grandparents, right?
Yes, that
Or
somewhat makes sense. Yes, you can keep it.
or when they go to, for example, even kindergarten facilities, right? If both parents are working, which is usually the norm right now, it's usually up to the grandparents to take them there. So keeping the grandparents lounge near the educational facilities eases the access to both of them and also increases the security for the
Yes, I think
children.
that makes sense. You can do that, but neither of them should look towards the street. They should look into each other in terms
Yes,
of
sir,
structural and
definitely.
urban feel of the space. We have to consider, So it should protect and enhance the space.
Yeah.
The views of and it should not.
Either, what about if they look into the open space, the open
They
sports
can look
or lawn
into
space?
the open space of the site, but they cannot. They should not actually look into the spaces which are open like a road. Right? Your children,
Okay.
the elderly people should ideally be looking towards the children playing in the playground rather than looking towards vehicles on a street. So
Okay,
that's the
definitely.
way you should be designing.
Definitely.
And of course, you are designing a contemporary structure, probably with a touch of vernacular, if you will, here and there. But always like a high quality contemporary design that has evolved from its context is very essential. It includes the respecting the heritage as well as the context. So there is hardly any heritage out there, but still there are a lot of structures that has already come up within the Newtown Kolkata area, which has taken some respect of the heritage that is there in already existing Kolkata. So they have tried to take some elements from there and incorporate something out there. So you probably can think of those lines. That's also
Which of the buildings can I check out for that?
That depends. Like your structure is very unique. I mean, it is not one structure, but a group of structures which will be complementing each other, right? So
Yes, sir.
it will depend on what are the kinds of case studies that you have done. We'll have to look into it.
So generally, the case studies that I've done, some of them, the community centers are either one singular huge structure, like how we have in Bishwagangla Convention Center, right?
Yeah.
That's one huge structure.
Mhm.
Some of them are like that, and in some of them, the ones that I prefer, for example, the Palo Verde Community Center along Palo Verde Library along with Maryland Community Center.
Mhm.
These two are two separate buildings which are present on the same site, but they interact with each other. So that is what I'm going for, rather than one singular huge structure.
All right. Okay.
Those two structures are side by side towards each other with a common access point, and they are also adjacent to a huge park.
Right.
And they even have a public swimming pool in one corner, if I'm not wrong, which is adjacent to the parking space.
Right. So when you are doing those case studies, you need to very strategically put forward what will be the methodology of your case study and what is your problem statement, what information did you gather, how did you analyze those, and what is the synthesis or evaluation that you have done. Your SWOT analysis, I told you, the strength, weakness, and opportunities and threats of the sites that have given. And every site has to be having, you should study all of it with the same parameters.
Yes, sir. I'm in the case study things that the case study PDF that I sent you. There's a case study matrix that I've done at the end.
Right.
So it is a comparative matrix table. It has all the common parameters that I've done with respect to the case study, and it's all listed in a tabular format.
Yes, I had been explaining a lot of other people, but everyone is doing some uniqueness for each site. No, all those parameters has to be common for every site. And you
yes, sir. I kept that in mind while doing it.
Yes. All right. What else? You need to now think out of the box with some extraordinary solution in a unique way.
Sir, I'm working on it, sir. There is hints of ideas that come up. I started noting it down. So connecting them and making them cohesive is a huge challenge right now.
Now start with some sketches of 3D spaces.
Yes, sir. That's why, sir, I was trying to do the block model, right?
Yeah.
But at home, there's just an A4 printer. It's pretty difficult. So I'll have to do it by hand again.
No, this doesn't matter. You can do it by hand. I mean, when you are designing any space, say for a space for the children or maybe the elderly, start with the why are you designing that. The basic, if you can answer the why of your question, then fine. I mean, then your design comes automatically. Now, since it is such a big site, the regulations and norms are almost similar for other spaces that is there, and it is little lenient on your site. There is no site around your no existing building that are there which are going to hinder on the existing the buildings that are there. So you can do it.
Yes, sir. Even the offset areas that I have to leave for that is very low. That's around 3 meters, 4 meters, which is barely of any issue. And the thing is that the mandatory open space that I have to give for a particular site, I think the open lawn space will cover it on its own.
Okay.
So I don't think that is going to be an issue.
All right.
But the only other issue is that since it's a completely flat land, there is no uniqueness to the site, right? So I was thinking whether since one of the primary case studies that I had listed before during the thesis synopsis was city center, right? Because of their whole incorporating the bazaar into it, and also the vertical place of spaces, right? So I'm thinking I can do a secondary case study in that too, and I can incorporate that.
When your site is not really interesting and it's a pretty flat site in an urban scenario of a new town, Kolkata, then the context becomes important. So context not only in terms of the artificially made up content, but your the natural. So always take care of all natural surroundings. We have very natural features in both micro and macro level. The macro level of the entire smart city, also the micro level.
There is not a lot of natural features there on the site itself. Even the vegetation is very sparse.
There was supposed to be a canal on one side of it, right? So is it running just next to your site or is it a little away from it?
No, sir. There is no canal here.
Oh. Right. So let's see. I mean, if you can figure out something which try to compose your design in such a way that all these elements, become a part of your entire design, creation, and make it more livable for the people that will be there.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. This is all that I have for now. I'll start working on the block model for the site.
Right.
See how the spaces work, and then I'll let you know, sir.
Right. And keep your research component really very strong.
Yes, sir. I'll do that.
Yeah, this will help you to derive your concept very well when you're writing down your concept in terms of design style and what kind of design that you will do. Because the moment if you do the strength, weakness, and opportunity threats, there is a SWOT study. So that SWOT study will dictate a lot of things.
Okay, sir.
And this is your thesis, right? So this is your first or the last opportunity where you can explore your wild ideas.
Yes, sir.
This is just codes and norms.
Okay, sir. I'll go through the proposal program again, what proposed spaces I'll have. Try to reincorporate that into a more cohesive way, and then I'll update you to that.
All right.
Okay, sir.
Fine.
Good night.
Yeah. Bye.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.